Okay, order members, let's pray. Almighty God, we beseech you to behold with your abundant favors and blessings as your servants, whom you have been pleased to call to leadership positions in this republic. We seek guidance to treat and consider all matters that shall come under our deliberation in so just and faithful a manner as to advance the peace, prosperity, and welfare of our country and of those whose interest you have committed to our church. Amen. Thank you so much, our legal officer, to proceed with the demonstration of oath. Thank you so much, Honorable Brenda. Welcome. I wish to take this opportunity that we introduce ourselves before we proceed. I am Rotich Moses, MCA representing the people of Tendano Soget, and I chair to this committee.
Thank you, Chair. Welcome. My name is Vincent Korir. I represent the people of Londiani Ward. Thank you.
Wasiri, welcome. I'm Gilbert Ngetich, MCA representing Kishara Ward and member to the committee.
Karibu Waziri. I'm Irene Langat, Vice Chair to the committee.
I'm Masinjeri Gekonyo, a member of this committee.
David Maritim, MCA Gypsy Onward, member.
I'm Kibet Peter, Associate Ward. Thank you.
I'm Gabriela Chepngen, nominated MCA.
Beth Cheriot is my name. I represent Ainamoi Ward in Ainamoi Sub-County and a member of this committee. Welcome, Waziri.
Thank you, Chair. Welcome, Waziri. I'm Eric B., Kablela Third Ward MCA. Thank you.
Chaik Ward, MCA, Matthew Korir, member of this committee.
Waziri, within us two members of the Secretariat, I wish them to give them a chance to introduce themselves.
Good afternoon, Waziri. Sharon Mipei, Deputy Clerk, Legislative Services.
Welcome, Waziri. My name is Abraham, Deputy Clerk, Administrative Services.
I'm William Tole, Clerk to the committee.
Quiet Patricia, Legal Counsel.
My name is Renis Chepngatich, PR Officer.
I'm Patrick Korir, PR Officer.
Within us two.
Justice Martin, Sergeant at Arms.
Within us too, we have members of the press and also okay, thank you so much. Waziri, we are on live coverage. I don't know if you are comfortable if we proceed on live coverage. Thank you so much. Maybe before we give you a chance to also introduce yourself, I wish to ask the honorable members within here if there is anyone with any conflict of interest in that regard.
Thank you, Chair. As you know, I am an MCA from 2013, and the Honorable Waziri was also a nominated MCA between the year 2013 and 2017, where I also served the people of Ainamoi. But I want to assure to you, Chair, that the deliberations that is going to take place here is of grievous concern. And I want to assure you that it will never interfere with me working with Waziri in making decision of what will transpire. Because as we speak, Chairman, people are already in graves, others are suffering in our hospitals, so it will not interfere in any way.
Thank you, Chair. I must confirm that me being the chair of the health committee, any deliberation which shall undertake this exercise shall not interfere. So I declare in case there is no conflict of interest. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Even me, with the friendship that I have with CC, concerned CC.
Kindly first introduce yourself, then you proceed with declaring the conflict of interest, if any.
Thank you. So, Waziri Karibu. My name is Kipkoech Albert, MCA from Soliat Ward. And I can declare to this committee that to the friendship that I have with the CC, it will not affect the objectivity of this committee. Otherwise, thank you.
Thank you. We come from the same sub-county with Waziri, and in fact, she is my neighbor back home where I was born, but it will not interfere with the proceedings of this committee.
Waziri, I wish to give you also a chance.
Thank you, Chair. Waziri comes from my ward. And I want to declare that any decision that the committee will make will not interfere in any way. Thank you.
So for purposes of record, Honorable Kemboi is MCA Kapsuser Ward. Thank you. So Waziri, I wish to give you a chance to introduce yourself to this committee.
Thank you, honorable members, for the opportunity that you have given me to appear before this committee. My name is Brenda Bilby. I'm the CC Health Services, Kericho County. Thank you.
Waziri, this is an Adhoc committee that was formed pursuant to the standing orders of Kericho County Assembly to investigate a matter and make appropriate recommendations in regarding to Londiani incident that happened on the date of 30th June. It was also there was also a fund drive that was held on the 4th of July to cater for the funeral expenses and also treatment for the victims that were affected. Waziri, this committee wishes to invite you that you give us a brief account of the 30th and also the 3rd and the 4th of August. Thank you so much and welcome.
Thank you so much, Mheshimiwa. So I will begin by saying thank you once again for this opportunity. On the 30th of August of June, at around 6:30, I was called by His Excellency the Governor, informing me of an accident that had happened at Londiani Junction, which required urgent attention and ambulances to rush to the scene. I received his call and I told him, let me work on it. I called my chief officer and the medical superintendent of Kericho Referral Hospital, informing them that there had been an accident. By then, the news had already started to circulate on social media, and the extent of the accident from the initial reports was that over 100 people had died at Londiani. The medical superintendent and the chief officer coordinated rescue efforts for the ambulances to be rushed to the scene. Also, our casualty at Kericho Referral was cleared, and our theaters were also cleared, and surgeons called, and all staff were called to come to assist in mitigating the disaster that had happened. I also made my way. I began making my way Kericho County Referral immediately to be able to be there when the efforts of rescue were being coordinated. I arrived at Kericho County Referral around 7:30. And I wish to state to this house that it was raining heavily. So the rescue efforts were also taking some time. The first patients began arriving at Kericho County Referral around 7:30, 7:40. That is when the first victims who had been injured began being received at Kericho County Referral. Our casualty. By then, of course, the public had heard about the accident, and many people were making their way to the hospital out of curiosity and also wanting to assist where they could. As the ambulances began arriving, the patients were assisted and began being processed at casualty, with resuscitation efforts taking place at our casualty. I was in Kericho Referral Hospital up to 10 p.m., where I then made my way to Londiani Sub-County Hospital. I went to Londiani, and honorable members, the scenes that were at Londiani were unfortunate. People were severely injured. And by then, at around 10:30, 11, we had already confirmed about 49, about 47 people who had already died, because by morning is when all 49 were confirmed. But the bodies kept coming, kept piling up. Families were arriving, concerned people who had heard of the impact of the accident, because the impact was heard for many kilometers. The sound that accident made, of course, attracted a lot of concern. Many people were at the scene. And by then, Londiani had already received the bodies, and they were in our morgue. Our morgue is only a 16 capacity morgue at Londiani, but we had that kind of number of bodies. So you can imagine the state of which our mortuary was. Some of these victims had missing body parts, and the process of identification did not begin until the next day. So that is the account of the first day of what happened in Londiani.
The 3rd of August and the 4th. Yeah, the 3rd of August. The 3rd of July, and then.
Let me just continue from the next day.
Okay, so thank you.
Until the day of the function. So the next day in the morning, I came home around 3 in the morning, and the next day by 8, I was in Londiani Sub-County Hospital again, because we had received information that His Excellency the Governor would be coming in with guests from the national government who are coming to assess the situation, who are coming also to see what had happened. And we received the guests. We were able to explain to them what had happened. And the guests also came to Kericho County Referral to look at the patients who are within our wards. In the course of the day in Londiani, identification of victims led by the Red Cross began. The relatives made their way to Londiani Sub-County Hospital, and they were taken to the morgue to be able to begin identifying their loved ones for processing. That is when our doctors now also began sorting out the bodies, processing, registration, as identification went on for the better part of the next day. That was on 1st. 2nd, the same. And on 3rd, the 4th was the Harambe fundraiser for the victims. Yes. Identification of the victims was done in the course of 5 days. We began the next day.
When did the date for identification of victims started, and it ended at what date?
We began on 1st.
First.
That was the next day.
First, yes.
And it ended after 5 days.
5 days, that means it ended on 6th. So to mean by 6th, you knew all the victims, whether fatalities or the survivors. By 6th, you knew.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Waziri. I wish I don't know if the majority still has question, because we wish to you just came in while we have had the directions and deliberation that we will give honorable members a chance to ask one question. So by that question you have asked, that is your question number one. Kindly hand over the microphone to Honorable Gikonyo to proceed with the question.
Chairman, this was not a question, it was clarification, because you remember we've interrogated other witnesses and they said maybe by 18th, up to date, the reason why these other people have not been paid is because they are still identifying the victims. And you see now the CC being the truthful woman here around, she is saying by 6th, they knew all the victims, they knew all the casualties, they knew all the survivors. So thank you for being truthful. Maybe I'll ask my question later. I have not asked any questions, sir.
Waziri, I wish that we give you a chance to proceed with whichever information that you would want to give out. Then, in case of questions, we will give a chance to honorable members to ask.
Maybe through the chair, you guide me on the kind of information.
We had given you a chance to
Yes.
To respond
I have
to
explained on the day.
Yes.
Up to the fundraiser.
After the fundraiser.
Correct.
I wish to invite Honorable Halbert to take us through the minutes of the meeting that was done.
Okay, thank you, Chair. Waziri, maybe first I want to say that we are in a possession of minutes of Londiani Disaster Committee meeting held on 18th July 2023 at the Governor's Boardroom, and you are one of the members. So maybe my first question will be on the minutes. What was the mode of invitation to the meeting of that particular day? Was it, there was an appointment?
Thank you, Mheshimiwa.
Yes.
I received a phone call from the County Secretary, Dr. Wesley Bor, on the 17th.
On 17th?
Yes. Inviting me for a meeting at the Governor's Boardroom.
Did he state the agenda of the day?
Yes. The agenda was...
Through phone call or?
Just a phone call, yes.
Okay. Was there any official appointment or just a call?
Just a phone call.
Okay, thank you. So then the next one is from the same minutes, it is agreed that 2 million will be paid to Kericho County Referral Hospital and 1.5 will be paid to Londiani Hospital. And on the same particular day, first, was that what was agreed in the meeting? Payments for Kericho County Referral Hospital?
Thank you, Mheshimiwa. First of all, I want to have a comment on the minutes.
Yes.
I never received a copy of the minutes after the said meeting.
Oh, you never received
and
a
the
copy?
minutes capture some names of county executive members who are not in attendance.
So were you in attendance in the first
I was
place?
in attendance myself, yes.
And you did not receive a copy of?
I did not receive a copy
of what transpired?
Correct.
So in this case, the two expenditures were not approved in your presence? Or it was
I presented my proposal in that meeting, yes.
On 18th?
On 18th.
Okay, thank you. So I will also take you to the same day.
Yes.
You wrote a letter from Honorable Brenda B.B.,
yes.
CCL Services, to Leonard Ngetich.
Correct.
And you will allow me to read the content of the letter?
Yes.
Hospital bills for Londiani accident victims. This one is specifically for Londiani accident victims. is that following the discussion at the governor's office on 18th, here attached are the hospital bills for the road traffic accident victims that happened at Londiani. So did you write this immediately after the meeting, or was it before the meeting?
So maybe I give an account of between the 17th and the 18th.
I just say about the letter first. When did you? Is it immediately
I wrote
or after?
the letter after the deliberations in that meeting.
Okay, thank you so much. So we will also go to the attachment of that letter.
Yes.
What prompted you? Because we have in possession a letter from Davis Sang.
Yes.
And this letter was wrote on 17 July. Were you aware that Davis Sang has written some names of victims of Londiani accident and with amounts as bills to the tune of 1.8?
Yes.
So did you inform the Davis to prepare it for you, or what happened?
In preparation for the meeting, I had received 2 letters on the 14th from the medical superintendent at Kericho Referral Hospital.
On the which date?
14th.
14th.
14th. Yes, I have them here. I had received 2 letters from the medical superintendents.
Yes. On which date and which
on
date?
14th. Both of them on 14th.
Both of them on 14th.
Allow me to read. I'll present the copies. To Honorable Brenda Bilby from Dr. Sami Langat, Medical Superintendent, KCRH, request for hospital support. The above subject matter refers, as directed by His Excellency the Governor, all patients and fatalities from Londiani accident brought to KCRH for treatment be waived. We, however, request that the hospital be considered for support in reimbursement of the commodities used. Thank you. This was from KCRH.
Okay. Are you able to forward it to us? It was which date?
I have it here in my file for the 14th of July.
Okay. The cost of the consumables, according to your that list.
I have from Londiani as well.
CC. So that document that you're forwarding, is it authentic? Is it signed by medical
signed, yes.
superintendent?
Signed and stamped.
Dated 14th.
Dated 14th.
Ah.
From
So
the 2
Londiani.
medical superintendents. And I'll read for Londiani. To Honorable Brenda Bilby, CC Health Services, request for financial support in aid of Londiani Junction accident aftermath. I am writing this to request your office to assist us in facilitating the recouping of the expenditure that was incurred as a result of the tragic road accident that occurred on 30th of June 2023. The expenditure has been broken down as per attached list here within. Your assistance will be highly appreciated. Yours sincerely, Dr. Collins Kipkoech, Medical Superintendent, Londiani Sub-County Hospital.
Okay, thank you. So you can also forward that one. So another question is that CC. So the consumables that costs 1.8 million.
Yeah,
was
so after
specifically
I
for.
received- So after I received the request from the 2 hospitals on the 14th, I noted the request, but I didn't take any action between the 14th up to the 17th when I was called to attend the meeting at the governor's boardroom.
So you did not take any action until after you
Until
have
the
been called
17th.
by the CS.
So when I was called to attend the meeting, I took the request from Kericho County Referral and Londiani Sub-County Hospital, attaching the list that the medical superintendents had requested for consideration of support in regard to commodities that had been used during the course of the accident.
Okay, thank you. So maybe this 1.8 that is meant for district, was it meant for the 19 victims that were transferred from Londiani to district?
So what happened, Honorable Mheshimiwa, that night at the casualty, when the patients were being received.
Here in district hospital?
Here in Kericho County Referral.
Yes.
Then I'll go to Londiani. The kind of commodities that we were utilizing at the casualty, we did not have a way to account for what we were removing and using at that time, just during the resuscitation of the patients. As the night progressed, we began registering the patients in the system and proper billing of the patients began. That is why there's a discrepancy between actual bills of the patients after they had been fed in the system and the consumables we were using at casualty before the patients were registered in the system. But we needed a way to account for that. As you know, Mheshimiwa, we cannot remove even one glove without
that's what I'm saying,
an accounting process.
At that particular day, immediately after the horrific incident, those ones who were transferred from Londiani to district hospital, from the records, they are 19.
Correct.
So is this 1.8 million for emergency cases for the 19, or there were others also that were in the district?
Apart from, the way we were tabulating the use of the consumables, was that one person maybe was being attended by around 4 people, some who were removing them from the ambulance. These commodities, we were also putting them into the ambulance for the staff that were ferrying the victims to come.
So it's for
they
19.
were for the 19.
For the 19.
But utilized by many people who were assisting the victims.
Okay. But later on, there were
12 were treated.
And then they were discharged.
Correct.
And then 7 admitted.
Correct.
Unfortunately,
we lost 2.
2.
Yeah. By
then
morning.
5 are still there.
No.
2 are
have
discharged.
Since been discharged. Correct.
So 3 are still there. So in Londiani, there were none that were admitted. Is that so?
Correct.
But you have given us a figure of 1.5.
Correct.
Why the difference? Because that was the first place for first aid, and the figure is 1.5.
Correct.
Those ones that we have dealt with here are only 19 referred from the other place, but the figure is very big. Why the difference?
For the case of Londiani,
and remember also that that is 1.5 for consumables, and it's also money for the mock.
Yeah.
850 as per the records that we have.
Correct.
Why such a big discrepancy?
So initially for Londiani, as we were receiving the patients, Londiani doesn't have capacity to admit. So they were just being processed and put into ambulance and referred both to KCRH and to Nakuru PGH. The consumables at Londiani, one were for that night. The amount of cleaning detergents, gloves, masks that we used that night. And remember, Londiani did not end on the 30th. Londiani pushed for almost 14 days, continuing to cater for families who are coming in, people who are being handled at casualty. We processed about 80 people at casualty in Londiani who are identifying their victims. Because you remember, when you go to the morgue to identify your person, you have to go with the gloves. When the postmortems were being done, you have to go with the police. You have to, there were many people still handling, despite them not being alive, the people who were handling them all were using consumables at the facility.
Okay, did you do comparisons with other facilities? For example, those ones that were sent to PGH Nakuru?
No, we didn't.
Okay, so maybe another person will handle that case. But as I progress with minutes, after your letter that you wrote to learn and teach, requesting for approval of about that 2 million and 1.5, was it paid?
No.
It was not paid.
No, we were not paid.
Yeah. So you have never seen a check?
We were not paid.
Not paid. No. So maybe another person will deal with the issue of checks. So another thing also is that, did you request for this reimbursement through fundraising kitty or any other kitty?
So after I received the concerns, because the hospitals were looking at a shortage in the next few months with regard to the consumables and commodities, when the medical superintendents raised the concern, I took it upon myself and I took it very seriously and said, for example, KCRH, we handle about 500 patients at the casualty every day. And my major concern at that time was, how do we move on past the tragedy of Londiani? What happens to the next patient who comes into our facility? What commodities will be used on them? 30th was literally the last day, the close of the financial year. We had no way of being able to handle next patients who are going to pass through our facilities. In my view, the fundraiser that was done in Londiani was for support of the victims of Londiani. My letter to CEC Finance was to request for support and consideration of our hospitals in the aftermath of the tragedy. How are we going to progress as a department? That was my major worry and my major concern, considering the letters that had been written to me by the medsos.
And you to be very precise and specific.
Correct.
You requested this from which kitty? Was it from the fundraising kitty or any other kitty?
Because I was in attendance in
Yes.
that meeting. Let me speak for myself. My personal view was that all the victims that we handled were domiciled in the Department of Health. This was a fundraiser by people, well-wishers, and despite the fact that we complied fully with His Excellency's directive, where no patients incurred personal cost to themselves, the department did incur a lot of costs.
So it shot from the fundraising kitty because of the well-wishers and...
My letter was to the CC Finance, if it had also been paid from the fundraising kitty.
So you are not specific if it
I
is...
wasn't specific, no.
Because you have said in your letter, following the discussion at
Correct.
the governor's office.
Correct.
Of which they were discussing about the fundraising kitty.
Kitty, correct.
So which means you are complying with what was discussed?
Yes.
Which was fundraising
Kitty, correct.
Okay, thank you. So lastly, Chairman, under Kericho County Referral Hospital and Londiani Hospital, your personal opinion, this money that was raised in Londiani from you as a person, not as a CC, was it prudent enough that is used to pay other expenditures that county may have paid?
On that day, on the 18th, when we were deliberating on a variety of issues, my impression was that that was not the end of the conversation. This was just a meeting. I was surprised that it was called a committee, Mheshimiwa. It was a meeting that we had. And my expectation was that we would be called again to verify what we had discussed during that meeting.
Okay, so to you, it was
a
not
meeting.
supposed to be a committee.
And that
but
is
just
why, we have a bill, we have a document here that I attached, which raises a lot of course, the main reason why it's attracting a lot of attention is because of a bill which has varying figures of patients. When I was preparing to go in for this meeting, I requested the medical superintendent to give me a breakdown or an account which I could use to justify what our request was to the CC Finance with regard to the consumables. He passed the information to the accountant, who then tabulated the cost that we were asking for, coming to 1.8 million. However, the way that it was tabulated did not itemize the bills to the consumables. They were just attached to names coming to the same figure. And this is the document which, of course, has been raising a lot of concern on media. The medical superintendent noted the anomaly on the same day of the 18th and marked a letter to the accountant after I'd already presented this document in the meeting. The medical superintendent picked the anomaly with the accountant.
What was the variance?
No variance in the figure, just how the information was captured.
Okay, so maybe
no variance in the figure.
Okay, maybe in that figure that you presented to the committee,
correct,
as a figure of 1.8, 80336,
yeah.
And then this one that was presented,
yes,
by MedSuper's 1.8,
8441. Correct.
Is that not a variance?
It is a variance, but at the time we were projecting.
Which one was at the time of projection?
1880. Correct.
And then this one was the actuals.
Correct.
Are you able to tell this committee the difference between this one and the other one, a bill of 282? 198
yes.
for...
Yes.
You are able to tell
yes.
this committee what is the difference?
On the same day of 17th.
You can allow me to give you a difference, to suggest something. For example, Susan Wambui Miria, from the hospital bill, she was billed 2,200 shillings.
Yes.
And from your projection, and remember that Miria was treated as the casualty and then she left that particular day. But your projections under consumables, maybe the bill, you billed her 132,200.
Yeah.
Why such a? In fact, 2,200 is on top. So 130 and then 2,200, 132,200.
I recognize how that raises eyebrows, and I recognize how that is an anomaly. We have two separate issues. We have the cost of consumables at the casualty, and we have the cost of billing per patient after they were admitted. And we had, initially they were being taken, lab work was being done. They were being taken for x-rays. They were being taken just in the course of resuscitation to stabilize the patients. That is the figure we were capturing. That's why when you look at that letter, it says 30th of June, the one that captures the projections.
So which means in a nutshell, 130,000 in this case is meant for the x-rays, lab, for that patient that was dealt with as a casualty and then released as a casualty. 130,000.
I don't know if I can say it like that.
You have just said that.
No, I'm saying
yes.
We have two separate bills.
Yes.
One for the casualty and one for the patient after they have been processed in the system. So let's pick one person, for example.
Yes, Susan. Let's talk with Susan Wambui Mire.
Susan Wambui Miriam.
Yes.
Her actual bill was at 2,200. Who was treated at casualty and discharged.
Yes.
That's correct?
Yes.
The document that I presented of Susan Wambui Miria is at 132,200.
Yes.
Who was also treated and discharged. So this document that I presented, when I requested the medical superintendent to give me a document which I could use to present in the meeting that captured our cost of consumables, they just distributed the cost to the names that we had.
So let's do a small math. So 132,200 minus 2,200,
yeah.
130 remains. So what do you think 130,000 was meant for? Was it x-rays, the way you have said, lab? Or
we just distributed the total amount of 1.8 among the patients, among everyone. Because I needed the figure. I said, how much did we consume?
Was there a criteria, a person? Or just putting figures?
We were capturing just the figures.
Figures.
Yeah. So
yes.
after that, the medical superintendent then requested the accountant on the same day, on the 18th, and said, kindly separate the actual, I don't know what that was.
On which date?
On the 18th.
You said?
Kindly separate the actual bill, consumables, and implants. There's a word I cannot read carefully there. So after the medical superintendent picked this anomaly on this document, then the actual bills now of the consumables were generated.
When did he pick the anomalies?
The same day.
18th.
On 18th, I have a letter here.
Okay. So maybe, Chairman, I will still continue with questioning later.
Thank you so much. Kindly before then, so that we're clear with this matter of the minutes on 18th July, you had indicated to us that there was some CECs who have been mentioned on these minutes who were not present in the meeting.
Correct.
Kindly confirm to this committee that Dr. Wesley Bauer was present.
Correct.
Honorable Joseph Chirurut was present.
Sure.
Honorable Leonard Ngetich was present.
Yes.
Honorable Brenda B,
yes.
who is yourself, was present.
Yes.
Honorable Rosemary Ropp.
No.
Honorable Rosemary Ropp was not present. Honorable Edna Tanui.
Yes.
Honorable Chiri Judith.
No.
Honorable Daniel Ropp.
No.
Betsy Chebet, CEO Lands and Housing.
Yes.
Mr. Wekesa Simiyu, Assistant County Commissioner.
Yes.
Mr. Alphonse Rotich, CEO Executive Office of the Governor.
Yes.
Was present. Thank you for the confirmation. I wish also to take you to the second page of the minutes where Honorable Brenda informed the meeting that there was a total of 52 fatalities.
Yes.
Yeah? And 24 survivors. Honorable Chirurut also informed the meeting that there were 3 motorbikes affected. I am drawn to the attention where the Honorable Brenda informed the meeting that there were 52 fatalities. Yes. This morning we had CEO Health, Dr. Chiruyot, who indeed also confirmed that there were 52 fatalities.
Yes.
But on the record, on the compensation to the families of the persons who were affected, we had the 90,000 times 53 instead of 52. Where did the one came from?
I'm not privy to that information.
You are not privy to that information. Kindly visit the minutes.
I don't have a minute.
Yeah, kindly give her the copy of the minutes.
Yeah, I've understood.
Okay. On the survivors too, 52 fatalities and 24 survivors. From the calculation purposes, it was captured 60 times 12 survivors.
We had a total of 19 people who were processed through casualty
Yes.
at KCRH. A total of 19. 12 were discharged.
The compensation for compensation purposes.
I was not preparing this document. Let me just verify the figures that we had.
Okay, thank you so much.
19
Yes.
people came to casualty.
Okay, maybe before then, I understand that we had 1, 2, 3, 4. Who else was present in the meeting that was not mentioned here?
I think that you've mentioned everyone who was present.
Everyone was present.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. Maybe before you have a rejoinder. You have a rejoinder or on the same note. So I wish to give to the two honorable members to give the rejoinder, so that in case Honorable Matthew has the same rejoinder with you, you'll just let it go.
Okay, Waziri, thank you for coming. One, during that meeting, you talked about the treatment and the referral hospital and the bill that you presented to the committee with 2 million at 7,525. Is it yes?
Correct.
Correct. Treatment and medication for Londiani is 1,534,190. Correct. Tents and in Londiani, 2,945 million. 2,945,000.
I will only confirm for what I presented in my department.
You will only confirm to
what I presented for health.
Okay, but since that you are present in the meeting, Waziri, you will allow us so that we will not take a lot of time asking a lot of questions.
Yes.
Kindly, during that meeting, one of the members raised that the tent cost 2,945,000.
All
correct?
proposals were presented, yes.
Okay, just say correct or no. 2,945,000 for tents. Raise hotel tents for 411,000.
Yes.
Kindly, Waziri.
Yes.
Because we are unanswered and you have.
Okay, correct.
Yeah, okay, thank you. And then for lunches, 400 bucks at race.
Correct.
Correct. At transport and refreshment, printing, etc., 423,000.
Correct.
Thank you. Fuel and meals allowance for the team, for rescue team, I think. For county commissioner. This one is meant for county commissioner. 300,000.
Correct.
Thank you so much. Fatalities, survivors. That one I think chairman has talked about. Motorbikes damage. It is 3 by 100,000, 300,000.
Correct.
Thank you so much. So Waziri, I want to take you through one for your department.
Yes.
You say that you have not yet received any amount paid through this kitty.
Yes.
But remember, this is the committee. And I will just take you through 3 questions or 4. This is the committee that was meant to discuss issues of Londiani disaster or Londiani accident.
A meeting to discuss.
Yes, I'm saying a meeting, and we have the minutes.
Yes.
And members.
Yes.
Of which, in any case, you understand, when we talk about the emergency fund or county development projects, Cherorot is not a member to your committees, or is not a member to the cabinet. We are talking about these minutes. So, Waziri, you are saying you have not yet received any payment.
Yes.
But on 18, after that meeting, Waziri, you did write a text you did write a text to Medsup Londiani confirming that payment approved. You agree with us that you responded to a text that the payment has been approved in the committee?
Yes, I told him we have presented.
So here we have a check for Londiani.
Yes.
This check is check number. This check is check number. This check is check number. This check is check number 200. This one is meant for Londiani. Chairman, the manager, Equity Bank. It was meant for Londiani, although it was not signed by one other signatory, but it is written that the manager, Equity Bank, on 1,534,190. Are you confirming what you presented to the committee is to what is indicated in the check?
Yes, I am.
Thank you. This is the check for 27th. But we have a check of on 20th. This one also, it's the same amount signed by both signatories, but it was not presented. So I think during our discussion here, you will tell us why it was not dispersed, yet it was already signed. But the difference here, it was not written to case Equity Bank. This one is Londiani Sub-County Hospital. This is the check number 111. We have for Kericho Referral Hospital. Kericho Referral Hospital, you say that you presented a bill of 2,037,000. We have a check here, Waziri, for 2,037,000. Meaning that what you presented to the committee, it was approved. And in that approval, the only thing that was remaining is for disbursement. Waziri, wakati ulikuwa kwa hiyo mkutano, ulikuwa kwa mkutano ya emergency fund ama ya Londiani fundraising kit? Confirm to this committee and be specific. It was for a fundraising kitty or for emergency fund for Kericho County government?
We were sitting in the committee to discuss the kitty for Londiani fundraising.
Fundraising.
Correct.
Thank you so much. So I think, Chairman, I can just add over the next person.
Chairman, will you allow me, Chairman?
We had allocated some time to Honorable Majority, then Honorable Cheria debate, 1-1, alafu tumalize.
Thank you, Chairman, for the opportunity. Number one, I believe, Chairman, the CC didn't answer the question that you had asked. And taking her back to the minutes, Chairman, you will allow me that Honorable Brenda, I'll just read that paragraph. That Honorable Brenda informed the meeting that there was a total of 52 fatalities and 24 survivors. Allow me to end there because I think Jerorot will get time also to appear. Let me not talk about what Jerorot said. Honorable Brenda informed the meeting that there was a total of 52 fatalities and 24 survivors. And coming down there, you said you are only interested in answering what appertains the health department. So I'll not read these other things. And because my colleagues had handled their one for treatment and medication from County Referral and Londiani, I'll not go back there. I'm interested in those minutes that I show you. One, and maybe before there, did you attend any meeting at Londiani for victims check disbursement?
Yes, I did.
And the basis for disbursement of the checks, will you agree with me that the checks that were disbursed for fatalities was Kenya shillings 90,000 per person, per family that had a fatality?
Yes, those were the checks that were disbursed, yes.
At Londiani?
Correct.
And you were present?
Yes.
And you've seen from the calculations, you said the beneficiaries for families that had fatalities is actually 90,000. You multiply by 53 to make a total of 4,770,000.
52.
Even if it is 52, no problem. Now, from your minutes, or from what you informed the committee, that there was 52 fatalities and 24 survivors. Here, you came down here and do a multiplication of 60,000 for a survivor. Then you multiply by 12 to come a total of 720,000. Yet up there, you've informed the committee that there was 24 survivors. Why did you choose to only compensate 12 and left the rest? And
Thank
if
you.
indeed, no, I just you to be writing down because, and if indeed you were in that meeting, the first meeting, you've said it is not committee, the first meeting that you did at Governor's Boardroom that agreed to compensate 60 multiplied by 12 to get 720. And you went ahead with the same team to go and disperse the same checks to beneficiaries. Where did you put the 12
other survivors in your calculations. That's number one. Number two, now it's the same, the issue of, and I will not charge you based on what the chief officer said before the committee, but since you are in the same department, number one is that you received support from national government, that's KEMSA. And the chief officer said majority of those of the medicine or the support you received was purely consumables. And what you needed is non-consumables, as said by you previously. And said, and the chief officer did say, much of those consumables is being taken now by other sick people in the hospital. To mean, the beneficiaries now are the patients that were not involved in the accident. And the same patients is being billed by the same hospital. You are billing the same patient that is now depending on majority of those medicines that we received from KEMSA as a donation. Would you not have changed in your own knowledge that now, since other patients that are outside the survivors or the victims of the accident are consuming this medicine and you are billing the same patients, why did you, in your mind, come and play with the figures, then you revert back for the consumables? Number two, you did say you are not relying, you are not even sure on which kitty should be used, maybe to reimburse the hospital. And you say you are not keen on that one, but what you are interested in is what the medical superintendent just wrote to you, that this should be reimbursed maybe to the hospital. And I think on 4th, during the fundraiser, you were present during the fundraising, and you heard what His Excellency, the Governor of Kericho, said, that they are waiving everything. And no one out of those survivors will incur any other expense. And you came, sit down also, you also wanted, you sat in a committee or in a meeting that was dispersing the same money, and you forwarded the intention that you wanted to be reimbursed some money. Yet the same governor said, it's an executive order, and I'll give it to you, another plain truth, that we went to Nakuru. The same governor of Nakuru, Her Excellency Susan Kiiga, gave the same directive to our to that of our governor, that no patient should incur any bill for the 12 patients that were taken to Nakuru County. 9 taken to PG Hospital and 3 taken to Molo Sub-County Hospital. The bill that accumulated for all those days is 366,820, and it was waived. And maybe for your information, there is still one patient that is still admitted there. We asked the same question with colleagues that we visited Nakuru. We asked them, now this patient that is still in hospital, who will settle the bills incurred by this patient? The medical superintendent in that hospital say the directive by Her Excellency the Governor, Susan Kiiga, is still in place until this patient is okay. Now, no one has come from Nakuru to ask for reimbursement from our hospital, from the fundraising kit. Why didn't you feel that now, even Nakuru, despite that Nakuru is another county, they've assisted us in their small way, despite the fact you gave them support of 200,000 from KEMSA. They received 200,000 from KEMSA. You, as a county government officials of Kericho, you decided to ignore the directive by His Excellency the Governor of waiving. Then you went back to forward the request for reimbursements from this fundraiser kit. One final one, Chairman, now.
Maybe before that final one, I would ask you that you go direct to the question so that we... Chairman, yes, it was very clear, I but go direct to the question.
Yes,
so that
I
we don't
the question.
utilize a lot of time.
I think you've received my 3 questions. What informed you to calculate now After doing all these calculations of 60,000, you multiply it by 12, yet in your minutes, you had indicated there that there were 24 survivors. Number two, if the chairman didn't get me clear, is that why did you have to sit and get reimbursed from the fundraiser kitty, yet our nearby hospital, our nearby county, decided to follow to the letter the directive from the governor of that county of Nakuru, yet too, the governor of Kericho pronounced himself in front of the public, in front of the media and everything, that they are waiving all the bills associated with Londiani victims. Thank you, Chairman.
Can I respond?
Thank you, Chairman, for giving me this opportunity to also seek clarification from the CEC in charge of health services in our county. I'll be very brief, Chairman, because most of the question has been asked. Chairman, one, I just want to ask the CEC in charge of health services. When you took us through what exactly happened in Londiani, you began by saying that whatever took place in Londiani generally is domicile under health department. And therefore, any question, even that is not even meant for the facility, you know, it was done for the patients and, for the victims and those who lost their lives. So we will never allow you to try and evade a question that concerns the victim of Londiani, because one, you sat in the committee or even the meeting, you were there in the meeting. So whatever deliberation that was done in the meeting, you gave it an okay. So my question is, Waziri, one, you've given us the right information that those who are processed through the county referral are 19, 12 was discharged at casualty the same day, 2 died the same day, 5 were admitted, 2 of them were discharged later on, 3 are still in hospital. Is that what you told us? I think those are the correct data. Then out of that, Waziri, we have a bill of 101.836 million at our county referral hospital. You've had the Honorable Majority Leader said we have 9 in Nakuru. The total cost in Nakuru, we are 360K. Kericho is 1.8 million. 1.8 for county referral, another 1.5 from Londiani. Then, Waziri, you also received donations from KEMSA worth 1.862 million. And that should be very clear that you also received donation from KEMSA worth almost 1.836. When the chair budget was asking you about the patients that was billed in your facilities, you said that the accountant never had any information on how to bill, so they went ahead and lumped most of those consumables under one patient. For example, there was a patient that was given 132,000, but initially, during the casualty, only 2,000 shillings was used, but you went ahead and billed that patient 132. In my view, Waziri, could it be there is a conduit under your department that wanted to tally the expenses of the patients, that is 1.8, with what the national government, the KEMSA gave us 1.8, so that your department is used to siphon the money that was meant for those who perished in Londiani and others still hospitalized, so that the 1.8 million for KEMSA is silenced, Waziri. Then that is my first question, Waziri. The second and final question, Waziri, is that what was the objective of the fundraiser in Londiani? What was the objective? A very serious fundraising that was attended by the second in command, a deputy president, a very busy deputy president, getting time to attend a fundraiser in Londiani. Could you think the deputy president can attend a fundraiser in Londiani where, when you as a committee or a meeting sat and approved tens will be paid worth 3.3 million. No, a deputy president came all the way from Nairobi to Londiani to fundraise for the victims. Then as a committee, you sat and decided that 3.3 million will be paid to tens. 405,000 will be paid for electricity in Londiani sub-county hospital. You know, 4 or 5,000 for electricity that is going to be paid at Londiani sub-county hospital. A county commissioner is going to get 300,000 for refreshment and, you know, facilitation for security officers. You know, in your view, Waziri, what was the objective, the purpose of that fundraiser? Then finally, Waziri, His Excellency the Governor pronounced himself during the fundraising and even on 2nd of August when he gave a presser that no hospital bill will be paid. And that is His Excellency the Governor. No hospital bill will be paid. No tent will be paid. That was on around 2nd of August. While you go to records, the tents was paid on 21st July. The governor is talking on the 2nd of August that no tent is going to be paid. But you paid for tents because this is a committee. This is a committee that sat and approved all the other payments. A governor is saying no tent is going to be paid, but already underground, money has already been paid, what almost 411 and 2.9. Then my next question now concerning there is, did you brief the governor of whatever decision that you decided as a committee? Because the governor is talking other things, the committee is doing quite the opposite of what the governor has said. In your submission, Waziri, you also say that you complied with the governor's directives. Did the governor directed you to pay even for those tents? Because the information that we have in the governor is different from what the committee are saying. This committee, if you look at the composition, most of you are the appointees of the governor. Did you brief the governor of every step that you took? Thank you, Chairman.
As Chair, I don't know whether I can ask only two so that she can answer, because we don't want to abandon her, and also she might forget some of the question. I'll not repeat, Chair, what has been asked, because my first question is, Waziri, you are she is in charge of the health department. Why is there's a disparity between the outpatient, that is the casualty management, and the inpatient management? Because we are shocked, because most of these patients who come for an outpatient services they don't get high charges, because if you see someone coming for outpatient doesn't have a specialized treatment. But on your submission is that you've categorically give us the bill of outpatient to be higher than the inpatient. Why? Because even the public are following up this matter, and they are now surprised on what is happening within our hospital. If you, for example, the case scenario is that the bills for the emergency services from the records, they are higher than the inpatient. You find a patient who has been admitted being charged less than 26 million. On the casualty, 26,000. On the casualty side, you are finding the cost of 172. We want to know why is this difference between the outpatient and the inpatient. Secondly, Wasiri, is that were these patients, all these patients who came to our facility never have an NHIF? Because you are surprised you are not giving us the appellation for the NHIF, that the NHIF sector were able to bail all these other bills, because in your records you are not seeing any other part of NHIF, and the public also are aware, and they have been keen on the issue of NHIF. Most of these people, victims, had the NHIF in place. Number three was series that why hurry? You see, when it comes to reimbursement, what we know in our normal practices is that you are not reimbursed immediately. Actually, it has been even after 1 year when the budget is in place. So why are you on hurry requesting the department of that is the hospital to request for reimbursement, and you are also the advisor to the department, Waziri? Why are you on hurry? The budget was made the other day. I think you are 1 month, less than a month old. You could have waited so that you can present to the Department of Health, also the Department of Budget, because most of the county assembly members are aware of these waivers, and you are very aware. We didn't need you to use the kitty of a fundraiser to be able to offset bills of NHIF. And in the same case, you are provided by the national government that KEMSA drugs from the national. So you could have been very happy that you've been given an allocation from the national. You should not be on hurry to request for reimbursement. So in your own opinion, what did you do as a CEC in charge of the department? Were you to advise the department as a member of the committee, fundraiser committee? You could have advised, say now, no, as a department, we don't need this as of now. What we can say, let's wait until when the budget is ready or when the supplementary is ready, so that we can reimburse you, because you are fully aware of your practices, and we are expecting you not to use the same kitty to request for reimbursement. So, meaning, if as the committee make a conclusion that you are never consultative, you are not giving a good decision in terms of advisory, even advising the committee, because you and the CC in charge of finance, you are in the same committee, and being the representative of the governor, could have said, no, the governor is somebody who will listen and who need also to be consulted. Yes, consult the governor, so that they can give you a good opinion, not to use the same kitty. Even, I'm surprised also, you are not even consulting the area MC. You see, you as an executive, in your own opinion, you could have also consulted the area MCA and also the both the Londiani, and both are the members of the health committee. So those are my questions, Chair. Thank you.
Waziri, we wish to give you a chance to respond to those questions, so that we proceed with others, if any. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Chair. I wish to begin by responding on the 12 people who were compensated, while the minutes confirm that the survivors were 24. I don't know who prepared the list for the compensation. We had provided all the data as the Department of Health on the victims who passed on and the ones who survived. So when it comes to why 12 were captured, I cannot respond to that, according to the minutes.
You asked in the meeting that why are we having 12 victims being compensated?
Yeah.
What was the answer? When they give
I'm saying,
this
like
committee?
I said, I think I began by saying those minutes, it even captured some CCs who were not even present. If you can note that.
That means we disown these
I personally wish
minutes.
to really question those minutes, because it even captures people who are not in attendance.
But Waziri, you are number 9 appearing before
I
this
did-
committee.
I did attend.
Understand first. You are number 9 person appearing before this committee. And out of the 8, out of the 8, 3 key people were part of the meeting that you held in boardroom near governor. So kindly, don't usitoka kwa minutes.
I'm not
Wewe
disowning.
umeconfirm kwanza
I'm
vitu
not-
mliongea.
Mheshimiwa, I'm not disowning. I was there. I attended.
But you don't need to defend mwenye alikuwa absent.
I'm not defending who was
Yes.
absent. I'm only inquiring on the 12, the
Yes.
compensation
Yes.
of the 12.
Yes.
Yet the minutes clearly capture my sentiments
Yes.
that they were 24. I think that is correct.
24. Then an additional
Look at the minutes. It says CC Brenda. I have it says
Honorable Brenda
I confirmed
informed the meeting 52
and 20
24.
So when you remove 9 who went to PGH, how many remain?
From 24, we have 15.
When you remove
9,
we had 19 at KCRH, isn't it?
yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
We had 19 people at KCRH.
According to you, there were 24.
How did you arrive to 90,000 and 60,000 during that meeting?
Okay, proceed, Waziri.
So anyway, I was only saying that the 12 was supposed to be 19 to be compensated.
Yes.
On issue of KEMSA, we received a donation of 1.8 million to the hospital. The donation from KEMSA came on 2nd of July 2023. That was 2 days after the accident. We had already utilized the commodities that we needed by then at the casualty. And most of the commodities given to us by KEMSA were in the form of medication, which we can account for every piece that was donated to us by KEMSA. There is the insinuation that the figures were played with or twisted. And I wish to confirm to this committee that my personal integrity is on the line here. I have been dragged through the mud by this process. It is really not possible, Mheshimiwa, for me personally, who was there, who witnessed these horrors, being also a parent, to be able to be party to misguided information on what we used as a department. I think that is I wish to defend my personal integrity in that regard. The waiver by His Excellency was pronounced clearly. And I think by waiver, in this case, we mean that the patient did not incur the cost. But the burden of the bills remain with us as a facility. And that is what, Mheshimiwa, you are asking. Saying that despite the bills remaining with us, we accounted for everything that we used. We billed the patients. We cannot run away from what we utilized in the department. The question now becomes, was it right for me to ask for that money from the fundraiser kitty? I think that is the elephant in the room. At that time, in my wisdom, based on what the medical superintendents had requested me, in the looming crisis on the aftermath of the accident, I presented and said, look, the hospital is looking at a looming crisis. Can you consider us for support? That was my submission. Whether it was wrong or right, I stand by the submission that I made. That was a request to support hospitals in the aftermath. However, on the issue of His Excellency, the patients did not pay. I think that is clear, isn't it? We complied. Waiver means the patient did not incur personal cost, but the bills remained with us. Our facilities, all of you here, they are really struggling. This was a massive incident for us. We had no rules. It was an emergency. We had no way of calculating, even at that time during the casualty process. And the raw data that I presented was raw data captured as the consumables were being utilized at casualty. There is no fabrication. There is no added cost. There is no subtracted cost. And our bills after our patients were processed, you can see, are much lower than Nakuru PGH. Also, to compare Kericho and Nakuru, I don't know if it is a fair comparison. Budget of Nakuru County on health is around 6.8 billion.
Masiri,
yes.
You've talked of the road data. We are very concerned because supposing now you got this reimbursement.
Yeah.
And in the final data, you find that this money given to you is not contended with what you need.
Correct. So
where will you reimburse back that money? Because at long run,
you are dealing with the raw data, meaning these are not specific, the actual figures for the cost of this consumable. Now, you see, supposing this money was for the county government, you could have said that is right for you to do that because you are dealing with the county government. But this money, you are giving specific figures, whereby if at all you exceed or you do it below, and then where will this money go? Because already you've subject a lot of expenses to the kitty, which is not supposed to have been like that. So we are very concerned. You see, when we are asking this question, Awaziri, we want we want to work on the actual figures. Where will this money will have gone? Because you are taking the money, fundraiser kitty, to reimburse back, and you are not dealing with the specific figures. So we are very concerned about that.
Thank you, Mheshimiwa. The proposal that I submitted to the committee was on 1.8, 880, 336. That is what I submitted. Plus 157,000. Yes. The 157,000, there's a lady who lost 2 children in Barsiele, and her bill amounted to that amount. In the committee, no, just a separate issue.
Different.
Just a standalone issue.
Okay.
You know the bill comes to like 2 million, isn't it? Yeah, exactly. So I was called by the county secretary, Dr. Bor, that there was an issue with the lady from Barsiele. And in our submission to the committee was that she be considered as well for compensation because she had lost everything and she had lost her 2 children.
Chairman,
that informs.
Waziri,
yes.
I think this is where we'll get that one person, additional one, from 52 to 53. That is
right?
Where, if I'm not wrong.
Probably, yeah.
Okay. Probably Waziri. Sinibo.
What Waziri is saying, the 2 kids that we lost, I think, were in Barsiele.
Barsiele, yes.
One mother who lost, I think, 2 kids in Barsiele.
Yes.
But this one, I think we were talking about the bills of the accident in Londiani. Now that you are even making it worse by using the money that was even meant for the debt for Londiani to pay another accident that took place, I think, 2 months ago. Because that accident that took place in Barsiele was almost 2 months ago. You are using the same money to pay. So was it, if there are any other patient that you have included also, because there's a possibility?
I think the bill is there. That was submitted. Yeah.
So maybe Waziri from the records now, because what I understand is that the record states that victims were 77.
Yes.
Do we add this one to be the 78 one?
The submission to the committee on that issue was a standalone issue. And that was a request that was given to me by the county secretary.
Okay,
saying, county secretary, saying, can you consider for compensation? And I submitted to the committee as it was. Evidence being the bill that had been waived for that lady because she had already been discharged.
Okay, so he was added as the 78.
Give us a chance also to ask
78 victim.
Sorry?
So which means
let's have order with you. Let's have order.
Yeah, maybe
let's have order in this. Let's have order. I would wish that you hold on, Albert, a bit.
Yeah, allow me to finish, because from the record, there are 77 victims, and then 52. Yes, and then 52 are deceased.
Correct.
Then 19 were brought to MTR, not MTRH, but referral, Kericho referral, KCRH. Then 9 wakapelekwa Nakuru. So this one, I'm interested. This one, will they add it as the 78th victim, or how did you pick this person so that he can be given, or she can be given something as a compensation.
Be added as part of the victims?
Yes. Because this one is a different issue.
It was just a standalone issue.
So which means, Sasa, in your deliberations, you also added somebody which was not in the Londiani accident incident.
Probably, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, Waziri. I don't know. Do you still have questions in that regard that we're supposed to answer?
Maybe through the chair. According to the initial report that we have, is that we had 49 fatalities in Londiani, 2 in Kericho, and 1 in Nakuru, to sum 252. The survivors, when you say it is 24, and then if my memory serves me well, 52 plus 24 come up to 76. And the initial report is giving us those who went through the Londiani and the records are supposed to be 77. Where is one when you were submitting this one, 52 plus 24? It is coming to 76, not 77. Which means in the compensation, there is one which is missing when you are giving out these checks. 2, next question, and maybe for clarification. There is this allocation for those who are received here. How did you arrive to allocate this figure to every individual? Which assumption did you use? So that when you say, just a minute, Daniel Mwangi Kitata, you allocate 172, 362. Susan Wambua Miria, 132, 200. And the whole list. When you submit that you want to be compensated 1.8, what was the method you used to allocate to every individual, so that another one is having a figure of 81, another one is 172, another one is 11,800? Thank you.
Can I respond to that, Chair? I think I'd already indicated earlier that this was data we were capturing at casualty. There was no criteria, but it amounted to what we consumed at casualty that evening, before the patients were processed in the system and proper billing began. This was just cost of what we were utilizing as the patients came.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Chair. Waziri, I have some questions, so that I don't want to take long. I want only to ask some questions, and probably you can write down so that you can answer at once. Now, as a CC Health, you are in charge of health departments, and actually, there are some issues that you discuss in the boardroom as committee or the CECs. Let me ask you, do you know of emergency fund budget? And during that day, did you ask about the status of emergency fund before you made any decisions during the committee meeting? Number 2, you see, we are following up on the money for the victims. And national government gave out 20 million, which was distributed very well and on time. The people of Kericho County and Kenya, countrywide, contributed 14 million during that day. which we are still following up to get the full figure distributed to the victims. What did the county government do when you were sitting as the CECs and the executive? What did you discuss to help the victims? Apart from the waiver, the directive was given by the governor that the waiver should be given out. But what I see here is you made requests into the kitty. You give out in the other hand, and you come and take in the other hand. So when you gave out the request for waiver, I believe you should have records there. Maybe you can state to us how much was the waiver. What about these other balances that you were asking for? Was it also supposed to be waived? And from which account? There's this issue of KEMSA. In my opinion, the total request that you made from Kericho referral, live around Londiani, is 1.8 million. The donations from KEMSA is 1.8 million. My question is, how coincident is it that it's almost the same figure? And if I can take you back a little bit on what you said, because you said you have to have integrity. And you remember you swore here that you'll say everything in broad daylight. When you look at those who are discharged, it is very clear from the record what the traffic police say as per the report. The patients, there are around 5 or 7 patients that say soft tissue injury, treated and discharged. I didn't want to mention names of the patients, but one of them, Mr. Robert. Let me check at Mr. There's one, Mr. Charity. Charity has soft tissue injury, treated and discharged. And here you say, because it was an emergency, you just placed a cost of 156,000. Surely, let's be honest, because this patient, the same patient that was transferred to Nakuru, a different patient, in the same emergency mood, it's only that they were transferred to Nakuru, another one was transferred to Kericho. The one that was transferred to Nakuru has severe head injury. He was admitted, and the cost was 28,410. As in charge, kindly would like to know, even in times of emergency, does it really cost that much to actually attend to a patient who has been injured? Kindly look at the expenses in Londiani. Electricity. Yes, it was an emergency. We went there as the committee. We had to look at what is happening there. And for us to get this bill, the actual meter that was used by the fridge was a bit tough. But surely, even if it is an emergency, 400,000 for electricity, is it really worth? Even if it is an emergency. And for this document, they were presented, I think, twice, because there's another one which shows 200,000. What will make me not doubt these documents that it has been cooked? Because why give two varying information at the same time? For this one that was charged on 17th, are still two varying information. The same patient that was discharged to go home was charged 2,000. I don't know whether it is a real figure. Kindly tell us, what is this that was being placed? Because when you say there are gloves, I know I was there because I was also there. I saw gloves being presented by Red Cross and Friends of Londiani. Actually, let's be accountable, let's be clear, and actually present the factual information to this committee. Thank you.
Okay, Chairman. Many of these questions lies in the same sentence. And could be, mine is to ask on the authenticity of these minutes. Because if a member, Honorable Brenda B, Bill B, is even doubting this information which is contained in the minutes, I believe when a meeting is called, Waziri, you go to a consensus on what to do first. And if there is something which you didn't actually listen to when you were in that meeting, you are free to tell us that information was made when you are away. Because we believe when you are called to a meeting, you are expected to sit in a meeting and make a consensus on whatever resolutions you will make. Now, when we sit on saying now, like there is this Waziri, this CEO who is Rosemary, was not even a member. And then who was doing the minutes in the particular meeting? Who was making the presence of Rosemary to be seen in papers, but not physically? If at all you were there, you could actually tell easily that Rosemary was not around. Now, when we really decided also these consumables you made to us to sum up to 172,000 for Kitata, you might have agreed also in the formula you are using to make this huge 130 million to Maria, but not Masiche Langat, the one you gave 41,000. Can you allow us know the formula you are using when appropriating or dividing these consumables? Thank you.
Can I ask? Yeah, maybe we can give to Honorable Maritim, then you proceed with answering those ones, and we know what
Okay, Waziri.
goes next.
You confirm that you gave out 24 names of survivors. Is it right? I want you to just respond because mine is direct questions. Is it right? You gave out 24 names of survivors?
19 plus 9.
Yes.
28.
28. You gave out all names. Were you there during the disbursement of this money?
I was, yes.
How many were given money? How many were given?
I attended the occasion.
Yes.
Where the money was being dispersed.
Yes.
But I was not privy to the documentation.
How many received the 60,000?
I don't know, Mheshimiwa.
You don't know, and you were there?
I was there, yes.
Yes, thank you. So did you raise any alarm?
I thought all the names had been captured.
And you were there?
I
and
was
you didn't,
there.
You didn't bother to
I didn't
ask?
look at the paperwork because I
Okay.
was not the one dispersing.
Thank you. Then second question. Consumption of electricity in Londiani.
Yes.
Of 405,000.
Yes.
Will you able to give us units per day consumed?
I can provide the information through the medical superintendent who prepared the report.
I think it's from Kenya Power.
I'm saying the medical superintendent is the one who gave me this report.
Yes.
So I could verify with him and...
So we want you to provide this committee with the units consumed per day.
Okay.
Yes. Again, last one. We fundraised this money for the burial of our loved ones. Is it? Why was the delay? 3 weeks after.
Why was
Why was the delay in dispersing this money?
I was
And you were a member.
I was called on the 17th, yes. What
From
happened
4th
between...
to 17th.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
I think Honorable Maritim's questions have been responded directly. Oh, I wish that all of us would have taken that direction. We should have cleared this issue. So kindly respond to what you have.
Let me respond to what I have. Let me begin by the formula that was used to arrive at the consumables. I don't know who asked that question. Yes, Mheshimiwa. So in the beginning, when I was submitting this report on the 18th to the committee, I had requested the medical superintendent to capture for me the consumables that had been utilized as per his request on the 14th for support. However, in the capturing of this document, I believe I can say it was erroneously captured by the accountant. However, the same day, the medical superintendent noted this error that had been captured, and he requested the accountant to correct and capture it correctly, which again we have submitted. So I believe that is answered. Londiani electricity, I will request the MedSup to provide. There is also the idea that the donation by KEMSA coincides with our ask. I don't know how that unfortunate coincidence appeared, but there is no intention or malice behind our ask. Emergency fund for budget by Mheshimiwa Vincent. And if we discussed the fund for emergency, that discussion did not come up. If I consulted well with the committee, as well as the area leaders.
Chair, only to get further clarification. You did not consult about emergency funds anywhere. Now, when you are claiming the money,
yes,
and seeking to be approved,
yes,
where do you think the money could come from?
I put in a request to the CC Finance as per my memo. That was my submission. Thank you. On issue of NHIF data, I don't have any information on that, but I will submit to the committee why the NHIF was not captured. Why there is a disparity between the inpatient and the outpatient treatment, I think I have clarified. All the inpatient casualty bills have been captured correctly as per when the patients were processed at casualty. Thank you.
There was a question, if my memory serves me right, from the Honorable Cheriot Bate, that what was the purpose of the Arambe that was conducted on the 4th of July 2023?
To assist.
Just a second. Oh, okay. Yeah.
The committee is doing something different, while the governor, on the other hand, is saying something different.
Correct. So thank you, Mheshimiwa. On the issue of the waiver and the proclamation by His Excellency, I think as a department, we captured the sentiments of the governor by not billing the patients. The reason for my submission to the committee was based on the request by the medical superintendents asking me to inquire if they can get support based on what they had utilized during the accident. That is the submission I made to the committee through the CC Finance for consideration of support.
Clarification on my question, eh? There's a clarification on my question because I need to get the answer. You said you have clarified on the billing of even those who are in the casualty. Let me ask you. So you want to confirm that if somebody is injured and comes to the casualty under any emergency, will someone spend 156,000 who is at the emergency and maybe with soft tissue injury? Is it really well with what you are saying?
Thank you, Mheshimiwa. So I think those are two separate issues. There is the quantity of the consumables that we utilized, which I have said were captured erroneously in this document, arriving to this figure. Then there is the actual bill of the patient that was captured after they were processed through the system. So this, the actual bill for who, for example? So someone like Susan Wambui, I think it's Miriam or Miriam, is 2,200 after they had entered the system and processed and proper billing done.
You want to confirm to this committee that the actual is 2,000?
So for casualty?
Yes.
Can I go through the names?
No. I want us an answer.
Yes,
are you confirming that
actual bill of
is
the patient
2,000?
is 2,200.
Now,
This is not the bill of the patient.
Okay.
This is capturing the consumables at casualty that we used for resuscitation. It has nothing
Do you have the consumables? You see, you cannot say.
I do. We have the
You
breakdown.
cannot say Charity Mutai Cherop is consumable. And you charge 2,000. So where did 156,000 go?
You know, Mheshimiwa, the spirit of capturing this data was so that what we were utilizing did not go uncaptured through the system. We used the names of the patients that we had received at casualty to allow us quantify what we were using in real time before morning.
Thank you. Thank you. You see, when you are using that fund or that amount on consumables,
yes,
it is directed towards somebody who has been injured.
Yes.
Is it?
Yes.
So if you want to quantify and say this amount was used, you should actually be able to break down.
That is true. And we did. We have in a document that we have submitted. At that time, in that chaos, we captured their names.
But Waziri, and Chairman, Waziri, I think we have listened to you very well. You are using 2,000 as labor and 100 plus as the consumables that were used for that patient. Kama
Not necessarily that particular patient.
Okay, Waziri, you will allow us to take like this route now because Chairman, Waziri, you have tried not even to answer more than questions here, Mheshimiwa Bet, but I want to take you through this. You are in the committee of disbursement. Sinivo Waziri?
Correct.
Ulikuwa kwa committee ya disbursement.
Correct.
But according to this committee, Waziri, we are here just to look for justice for the victims and those families who lost their loved ones. Number one, Waziri, if you are not so much careful, the victims are coming at the end. From number 1 to number 7, it is your issues concerning tents, concerning hospital bills, concerning one. But only the patients are coming, or the victims are coming, affected person is coming, the second line of the items. What was the priority of this fundraiser? What was the purpose? The way Mheshimiwa Bet has just put a question to you. Another thing, Waziri, you will tell me whether the checks that you are dispersing was coming from Equity Bank. Kindly confirm it if it was coming from the Equity Bank.
I can't confirm.
You can't confirm. But according to what we have shown you, it's confirming it was from the same kitty.
I can't confirm that. I didn't see.
Thank you so much, Waziri. The two checks we had, in fact, the two checks we had, one was for 1.5, is it? Then the other one is for 1.8.
I want to confirm that I have never seen those checks.
You have never seen those
before
checks.
Today.
I think we can. I think you can be. This is the check for what you
We never
requested.
had back. We never had any response after our submission.
I wish
whether to confirm or not to confirm.
I wish to give the Sergeant at Arms these two documents. That is the County Government of Kericho, Londiani Accident Victims Bill.
Okay.
This is from your side, plus the accompanying check.
Okay.
Plus the accompanying check, so that you see for yourself if it's tallying with
Correct.
the request you did. That is for referral, the 1.8. Had that one for Londiani. Barchele, it went to 2.2. Just check then. Thank you.
Chairman, we do not want even to talk much on this issue because, Chairman, the facts does not lie. Even if the CEC says that he hasn't seen those checks, but these are facts, Chairman. You know, facts do not lie. What we only want to inform the CC is that it would have been better because once you sat as a committee, you did approve. Who else do you want? You were seeking approvals from where, and yet you sat down in a meeting, a committee that was called by the county secretary, and most of what you approved, one of the things that you approved is, for example, the payment for the tents that was approved by the committee that you sat, and the tents was paid on 21st day of July. Secondly, those checks was written around on 20th, the same day. You sat on 19, I think. Most of the bills were paid. We had the director and the manager for Ray's Hotel. They have already received their amount that you did approve. So even this one for the hospital, you start and you approve. Then my question is, and I still go back there, in your own considered view, your own consciousness, why did we head to fundraise in Londiani and the deputy president came, a very serious person? The governor also took time, to plan for the fundraising. What was the essence of doing this fundraising? Waziri, even as you sat as a committee, we will still put to task those that gave the request, especially for payment of the tents. You are very aware, Waziri, that the county government has, there are those contractors who have been qualified to provide services. Even us here, Waziri, after sitting here, we will go to a certain hotel and take lunch. We will not pay cash. It will be paid after some times. What was hard, Waziri, because we even have suppliers who have never been paid for like 2 years, 1 year. What was the haste in paying for a tent of 3.2 million using the victims' money? As you sat as a committee, even if you are not appointed legally, maybe through a letter, but you sat down and you approved. Or can we get the minutes where there was a divergent? Because you want to know, it seems you all agreed in a meeting unanimously that let's utilize this money, tents, refreshment, you all agreed as a committee. That is where we have problem. Sometimes concerns. You've had the members representing the people who lost their lives in Kericho and East. This issue is not people really suffered. There are those who are in hospital. In fact, they went to hospital. I didn't go to hospital personally because of some other engagement. A patient is crying for support. They have not been paid. There are patients who have not even been paid and they are still in hospital. They are buying drugs. We are sending money. Their families are sending the money to buy drugs. While there was a fundraiser that was done to settle their bills, even if the committee saw it that we will not use this money to, to give to these families, hata ungewasaidia hata kuwapatia hizi pesa mwenye ako hospitali, hata watumie tu opportunity kununua zile dawa, angalau wapone now that hawakukufa. So I don't know. Anyway.
Allow me to respond. I recognize...
Chairman, I forgot something. I'm also saying the governor pronounced it himself twice, not once, twice, during the fundraiser, that all the medical bill, leave alone the billing. The governor said, we do not know. The layman like us, I'm a teacher, I do not know the billing and the rest. The governor said all the medical bills for these people will be waived. That is when he was in a fundraising. You may say the governor pronounced himself on second after you have already paid, but he said in Londiani. Then my next question, when you sit down in the governor's office, was the governor aware that you had a meeting to discuss matters of such caliber in his office? Was the governor there? Because we want to distinguish between new people. What the governor is saying is different from what the committee is doing. So is the governor, did you brief the governor in most of your discussion? I think that is the question that I just want to.
Thank you, Mheshimiwa. I can confirm.
As you answer, Waziri, you see, the reason why Chiriad is pressing on those questions is that we want you to clarify so well, so that you don't fall in other troubles. You see, you are aware that national government really clear their pledges
Are you aware that the national government cleared their pledges
Yes.
to the committee?
Yes.
When was it cleared? It was cleared 2 to 3 days immediately after the pronouncement by His Excellency, the Deputy President. Okay. But now, as a county, you see, the procedures for the national, we normally look at this, they are taking so long to reimburse back or to give out their pledges. But now the county government, where we expect us to be the fastest and the quickest to do their role, because we are closer to the to Wananchi. Now we are taking more than 30 days. Even up to now, after you requesting for the reimbursement, you just you went around cycles awaiting for that money you could have reimbursed back. So as we are asking this, not that we want to victimize anybody, but we need clarity on the same. Because if the national government have done their bit, because we went to Nakuru and the patient we found, she categorically said that I have received 200. And she said that one, it was from national government. And she's still receiving treatment in the hospital. Now the county government have not even given the fundraiser money to the victim. So you are so shocked, and we need clarity so that we can move on. Thank you.
Thank you, Mheshimiwa. Allow me to respond to the last two questions. I recognize how this appears, and I appreciate the sentiments by the honorable members with regard to the optics of the whole issue. It does look bad, and it portrays a bad image and impression of us as a county and some of us who actually sat in that committee. I do appreciate those sentiments. However, I can confirm that His Excellency was not there. He was not in attendance. The meeting was being chaired by Dr. Bor, and I was under the impression that he was to brief the governor on the outcomes of the said meetings. Whether that happened or not, I cannot confirm to this honorable house.
But Waziri, even you, when you took the oath, you promised that you will advise the governor in case of anything. Did you advise the governor outside that you are assuming that Dr. Bor will just share the information? Or did you consult the governor before even claiming that 1.8 million from Kericho Referral Hospital? And we are very serious, Waziri. One thing, you are forgetting that we have come during the fact-finding mission to the Kericho Referral Hospital. We find a patient who went through this problem. She's still buying drugs, surviving from her pocket. Just a nasola, buying her drugs. But we are being told she has not even been given the 60,000 that you are giving out. Why don't you hand over the 60,000 to her so that she can continue visiting your chemist, paying drugs?
Alongside that, Waziri, sorry for interruption. On the issue of checks, you said you didn't know about the checks, and you are not aware that checks was paid. But the information we have is the checks was collected on 31st of July at 10 a.m. By the Metsup, Londiani. Did you call him to return the checks? That's what I want to know.
I am not aware on that statement. Absolutely not aware.
You see, you are so under the oath.
I am under the oath.
Okay. Thank
and
you.
That I swear by the oath that I took. Let me respond to Mheshimiwa.
Okay, kindly proceed and respond. Okay.
Yes. So, like I was saying, I do recognize how this looks, and I am taking the process very seriously. I am not rubbishing in any way what has happened and what has continued to transpire with regard to this issue. What I want to state is my own responsibility as well to the department and the concerns that are raised to me by the staff and the medical superintendents. I do wonder, maybe in hindsight, this was not the best way to do it. But I don't know, moving forward, what structures there are for engagement and what rules are in place with regard to such a fund. I want to personally apologize for my role in that committee or meeting that we had, and to make it appear like we had an intention to steal the money or misuse the money or misguide the money. My role in that committee was only one, and that was to present the proposals as raised to me by the hospitals in view of the aftermath of the accident. I understand the process of individual responsibility as well as collective responsibility.
Waziri, why did you raise the question of the bills in that committee, yet you knew that the committee was planning for disbursement for the victims' money? Do you normally wait for a fundraising so that you can sort out issues of waiver? Is there any fundraising that you normally wait so that you can? Because the issue even for Parshele, you are handing over to us today. There was a fundraising in Parshele. Did you submit the bills to a committee in that village in Parshele so that they can be considered to be paid?
For Parshele.
So one Waziri, you must distance yourself with the issues fundraising ya Londiani. Sema tu amuko mnapanga kuiba, but mulipanga chinsi ya kumismanage that money. That is my stand, and that is what I can tell you.
Thank you, Mheshimiwa.
We were not planning.
Yes,
Yeah.
Waziri. Continue.
No, I want to answer Mheshimiwa. We did not sit and plan on how to steal or misappropriate the money. I simply presented a proposal for consideration for support. Whether it was supposed to come from this kitty or not is now where the question is. And for that, like I've said, we complied with His Excellency. The patients were not billed, but we were left with bills as a hospital. I stand guided by this House on what I was supposed to do in view of what was happening in our hospitals. Thank you.
Okay. Mheshimiwa Esron, then Mheshimiwa from... Yes.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and welcome, Waziri. My name is Ezron. I'm a friend to the committee. On your last statement, if I captured you well, you can confirm to this committee that you lack proper guidance on the purpose of the fundraising. Because if you said the money was, you lack knowledge on how to use the money. You misuse, not in a bad way. You use the money to pay the bills instead of the general public that the money was supposed to be given to the victim. That is what you can say. Okay. That is what I wanted to know.
Waziri, you can answer that.
But to support the hospital.
So now
we did not request for reimbursement on treatment. Mm-hmm. Only the consumables that were utilized.
Consumable.
Correct.
So you are left with the option who will pay for the...
So we were wondering how do we move forward as a Department of Health in view of what has happened. What next for us?
So if I captured you well, you people, the committee thought that the fundraising which was done was to offset the bills, but not to give to the victims. I think that was what guided you, so that you, on your usage of the money. Did you get me?
Please repeat.
I'm saying, as a committee, there was an oversight, and you thought the money which was raised in a fundraising was, you thought it was to offset the bills, but not to compensate. I think that is...
No, no, absolutely not. All the bills were catered for by our hospitals. Mm-hmm. The victims did not pay, or affected persons did not pay. they did not incur their own personal costs. But the bills or the costs incurred by the hospitals remained with us. Correct?
Then now, what was now the reason of
The reason
paying
was
the hospital again?
The reason was the medical superintendents, through letters which I've read, requested me and said, in view of what has happened in Londiani, how do we move forward as KCRH and Londiani with regard to what has been utilized in this event? I took that proposal to the committee for consideration.
And the committee now proceed for reimbursement.
Yes. Yes, I was there, yes.
Okay.
I'm the one who presented it.
So now the big question now is, who was supposed to, now you are posing us the question, who was supposed to pay the hospital?
Yeah.
Okay.
And,
the committee.
Thank you, Mheshimiwa Gilbert.
Chair, a very small rejoinder.
Okay.
Now, what was the essence of waiving 282,000? In return, you are paying the hospital
the essence
1.8 million. What was the essence?
The essence
Yes.
was so that the patient doesn't incur personal cost, isn't it?
That's what I'm saying.
The 1.8 was for two things. One was for the consumables that were used. 600 was for purchase of implants for the patients who were still at the hospital.
That's why I'm asking. The only patients who are there right now are only three patients.
Correct.
Do you mean those three patients will take 600,000?
The figures have been tabulated for me by the
It's
hospital.
600,000 there.
It's here, yes.
So the three will take 600,000.
According to what I have.
According to this letter.
Yes.
That's why I'm asking also, okay, let's subtract 1.8, we subtract 600.
Yeah.
1.2 will
1.22.
remain. So what was the essence of now waiving 282,000? And here, you need 1.2 million to pay the consumables.
We were
What was the
requesting
essence?
what we used, Mheshimiwa, in the casualty emergency, what was going to the ambulances, what the paramedics were using, what the people who were assisting the patients were using, all the things that we were utilizing at that time in casualty. You know, this is not necessarily only
Within a
what the
day?
particular patient
Within a day?
used.
Just a day.
Sorry?
For a day. 1.2 million for only one day. Because I think those consumables that you're talking about was used during the material day.
About 3 days, yeah.
And let's talk about district.
Yeah.
Not Londiani, district hospital.
Yes, yes.
Because the 12 that were discharged were only dealt with the first day.
Yeah.
So that is the day that the
2 days.
consumables was used.
It has been tabulated here, and I have tabled for your perusal.
Okay, Chairman, Chair, one, waziri, wacha niongee kwa Kiswahili ndio pengine unipate vizuri. Unajua sababu ya fundraising kufanyika ni kwa sababu tulipoteza watu 52. Si ni sawa? Na 24 wakaweza kuumia. But unatuambia wenye wamekuja hiyo pesa yenye umeclaim sio patient walilipa, sio hao watu walilipa. Kama hatungepoteza watu 52 waziri, Kashaku wangekuja. So in this, ile pesa tulichanga kwa kupoteza watu. Ile pesa tulichanga kwa watu kuumia. Lakini ukakuja ukakaa chini, ukachukua, ukasema unilipe 1.8, tulitumia gloves mingi kwa hospitali, tulitumia aspirin. That is what you mean. Lakini waziri, nataka tukubaliane na wewe. We are getting this 13 million through their fundraising that was held to sort out the victims' funeral services and others to be compensated after that accident. So tunakubaliana kwanza, au wenye waliumia na wenye walikufa wamejilipia bill kwa hospitali yenu. Hapo kwanza tukubaliana, kwa sababu kama wangekufa ingechangwa, hawangechanga pesa. Kama hiyo lori ingeanguka hawangechanga. That's why nimekuuliza ile aparshele, mbona hukuchukua bill kwa ile kamiti ya reserve useme hata tumerelease mtu ya waiver 157 uweka hapo. Tumekuja kuleta kwa hii bill.
Thank you, Honorable Matthew. Is there something you can say about that, Mheshimiwa?
No.
Okay. Finally,
Okay.
finally, we have. I'll give to only 3 people. One is Honorable Kurir. Honorable Gilbert, and then finally Kigonya.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Chair.
And then
I will not ask you questions, but I want to get some clarification.
And let's be brief.
Yes, I'll be brief. First of all, Waziri, if you want to know the strength of a person, is during the hard time. In my case, here we have spent up to 5 million within that short time of emergency. Because in my breakdown, I can see 1.5, 2 million, 800,000. These are quite some expenditure. And in this scenario, the 5 million that has been spent, even if it was an emergency, there are rules and procedures also in place, even governing how you treat a patient at that time. My question is, in your opinion, as the head of the medical services, do you think we are in the right direction, even at that time? Again, because when we raise the money, we believe that those who lost their loved ones were waiting for the money. And we knew 14 million was easily divisible. In that committee, do you think it was really fair to spend the money on other services that were provided? Thank you.
Thank you. Let Waziri answer that. Then Mheshimiwa Gigonya.
Thank you, Mheshimiwa, for that question. In hindsight, probably we did not utilize the money well. Thank you.
Mheshimiwa Njeri.
Waziri, thank you very much. Lakini kwanza kabisa ningetaka kujua there is this form yenye umesema ya kwamba the short bills were waived, ambayo tarehe ambayo mlisema mmewawivia ilikuwa tarehe 3 August 2023, and the same person Dr. Dave Sang, hospital accountant, the same person akona another list here of 17th July 2023. Now I am wondering if it's the same person, kwa nini nyinyi mligojea until 3rd of August mutuletee hii the new one? And I'm not sure on that, because I understand these were outpatient, they were not inpatient, of which by the time walikuwa wametritiwa na kwenda nyumbani, daktari alikuwa na uwezo wa kutengeneza that list. Why to wait until 3rd August?
We generated the report on the 3rd of August.
On 3rd of August?
Just the report, but everything was captured in the system.
Understood. Mheshimiwa Langat.
Wasiri Brenda, maybe this will be the last question, and my question will be general. Wasiri, what are the current state of our hospitals in our county? Secondly, are they in the required standards? Thirdly, kindly give us a comparison between the current administration and the last administration. Thank you.
Thank you. I want you to combine the two for Mheshimiwa Diplo and then Mheshimiwa Richard Langat. So Mheshimiwa Diplo, then I think we shall call it a session. So Mheshimiwa Diplo.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Maybe only to request Wasiri if she can provide for us the list of the checks they issue, the beneficiaries against the check number, if possible. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let me begin with that question. I'm sorry, Mheshimiwa, I can't provide it because I'm not the one that was preparing the checks for payment. So maybe I'm not able to provide that information. Sorry? I think they were being prepared from finance. Yeah. Comparing the two administrations, Mheshimiwa, I think that is for the public to judge. and determine. I cannot self-judge, you know. We do thank His Excellency for his vigor and zeal in service to the people of Kericho. I know that we have a variety of challenges, including this one, which is before us now. However, in view of the facts, I believe that we will not be judged based on the opinion of only one person, but the opinion of many, those among who are sitting in this room here today. In hindsight, probably, Mheshimiwa, we did not think the process through. But here we are now, and we must see what the way forward is. Are the hospitals meeting the required standard? No. Our hospitals, Londiani sub-county, for example, is a level 4 in name only. It does not meet the standards of a level 4. And that is why, in view of the fact of something that happened, it did not have capacity to be able to support the nature of the accident. Kericho County Referral is also licensed as a level 5, but has not been gazetted. I have since put in a request to the national government through the Ministry of Health to inspect our Kericho County Referral in view of gazetting it as a level 5 so that we can benefit from funding from the national government. Thank you.
Okay, are you done, Waziri?
I am, thank you.
Okay, Honorable Majority is requesting for a second. Then it is almost maybe he's closing remark.
Maybe, Chair, these are just closing remarks that maybe Waziri, I don't know whether you'll still have time to answer, but the survivors that were 24, according to what we've seen, maybe you give us the facts. How many have you given these 60,000? Have you given these 60,000?
I was not part of.
You were there.
The
You
process.
said you were there in Londiani.
Yes, I was there.
You accompanied
but I'm
those
saying
people.
the part of the process to write the checks.
I'm
I've
saying
been just
you
responding
sat,
to that.
you went to Londiani when handing out those checks. I'm asking now, how many did you hand over in the lines of the survivors? How many got the checks of 60,000?
I cannot verify that.
And are you in charge of health department?
Yes.
And you did say
They were being issued from finance.
the checks.
Yes.
So the finance
It had nothing to do with the
issued.
health department.
Who identified the victims?
We provided them with the list.
So you are not. You didn't even follow. You didn't even want to know
I
how
didn't
many got.
follow up. We provided them with the list.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And I think this has come to the end of our session. And before that, I'll give you, Waziri Brenda, you give your final remarks before we close this session.
Thank you, Chair. I want to take this opportunity to thank the committee for the time that they have taken to listen to my submissions. Also want to thank all the healthcare workers who participated in this event. We know that there are many gaps in our process and how this issue has been handled. And for that, we stand guided by this honorable house, as well as members of the public, on how better we would have handled this issue. Thank you.
Thank you. And let me also give my closing remarks. Brenda, I must say we thank you for providing the information. And they say also give the, okay, if somebody does a good thing, we must also appreciate. During that time when the disaster occurred, the department and the health and together with your department did a commendable job. That is why there was no complaint all along until only that point when the issue of misappropriation in quotes occurred. So we shall thank you for the information. We are going to discuss and gauge whatever information you gave us. So thank you. And Sergeant at Arms, can you kindly guide Waziri to where to go next? Thank you. The meeting stands adjourned until what time? 2. Let's be at exactly